Evening, people. We are back again live with another match preview. Obviously, this week, Stevenage at home, open we can get back to winning ways. Been a pretty poor start, but obviously we'll go through the Mansfield game, Cheltenham game. Bit of get the depressing talk out the way. Then obviously go into how Stevenage have started so far, and then the usual predictions and lineups at the end. But yeah, feel free to get in the chat, leave any comments. We go all go over all the comments. Like the video as well. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share. That'd be appreciated. We've already got Chris in as well. Big up to Chris as well, and Max as well. But yeah, getting into it, we start off with Josh. Obviously, me, you, and Jake were at the game at Mansfield. What did you make of the whole game and performance?
Without trying to sound too negative towards the referee and biting my tongue, but I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. I know people say we conceded 17 shots, but we were the away team. That team, Mansfield team, is going to be there and thereabouts, and we're a new team bedding in. We've got a lot of new players, and it's quite an unsettled sort of back line as well. And I thought we dealt with most of their threat throughout the game fairly well. There was obviously points where they penetrated us, and Danny Johnson and Ollie Hawkins will cause anyone sort of problems on their day, and they did. And but I can't say how I want to feel without mentioning the referee. It felt like he was playing until he could give them a chance to score or give them a penalty, and it boiled a lot of people's piss, and it rolled over into what happened after the game. But yeah, I would have took a point when I seen the fact that we had 3 strikers out. The midfield's not the greatest, but we did well to earn a point. Unfortunately, they went against us in the 97th minute. But on another day we could have held a point. We didn't sort of create much, but took our chances well. A great goal, and we were good for a point, and unfortunately we didn't get it. So roll on, Stevenage.
Yeah, fingers crossed it can be a lot better. Being at home as well, it's meant to be quite a big crowd. I'm not sure it would be as big as, if you'd have beat Cheltenham, might have been a bit bigger, but I think a few fans, it felt like there, obviously a lot of them were quite angry, fair play as well, because it was poor, but yeah, Mansfield, bit of players out injured. That was Mansfield's first team basically as well. Ollie Clark, the two, like you said, Hawkins caused us problems all game. Johnson as well. But yeah, big up to everyone in chat. Thanks for tuning in. You got Jake, Max, BRFC Tom, Matt Brawler as well, and Chris Gouge. But yeah, Jake, what was your thoughts on the Mansfield game?
It's conflicting, I think, because the first half was non-existent, really. I don't think we had. Just saw that. I mean, that'd be interesting if that happens. But yeah, the first half was like it was a non-existent half. It was, I think, all the players just getting used to each other. I felt like they were just, kind of like if you expect to go out on a night out and everyone's just sort of chatting for the first half an hour, it's a bit boring. Right? I mean, I think they were just getting to know each other again. I think, but I thought if a team had to win that, it would have been Mansfield. I think it was harsh in the way that they did win it. I mean, I said at the time I thought it was a Stonewall pen. I've been looked at it 10 or 12 times. It's one of those 50-50 ones. The referee's going to go with the advantage of the striker there. We didn't create enough. I thought the red card on another day might not have been given, but I think it's going to be one of those. While Barton's in charge, we're going to get the rough with the smooth with the referees, but we've got to deal with it. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. We can piss him out as much as he wants. It's up to the players to remain disciplined. So, I thought a point would have been, Mangots still. Then Christ, that'd be our level in a few years. Mansfield would have felt a bit peeved if they not won the game, I think. But thing is, on another day, if we leave there with a point, it's a bit of a different atmosphere. And as Charlie said, with in regards to Saturday with the tickets, I looked at the tickets for the platform, and there is loads left. So I'm not sure if we're Rovers are expecting that big bumper crowd that they're saying that they might. But yeah, on the whole, it was one of those games where if you walk away with a point, you're happy as a pig in shit because you think, well, we were second best for that, and you take a rough away point, which I think we all said last week we would have taken, and especially given the circumstances with 75% of our strikers being out. But I think it just also just shows that we are still short in terms of squad depth, and I think it is very weird how 3 of the strikers are all just injured like that. But yeah, I think it gives us a lot to work on, which at least it's kind of one of those when you're not getting the results early season, you kind of think, well, okay, when's the step up going to happen? At least you can kind of put it to bed early on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was annoying as well because, like you said, I completely agree. Both of you saying like the first half was pretty much non-existent, but obviously, of course, crap goal to concede as well. Yokola just, I mean, he seems to do stuff like that every first game of the season. I remember when we first signed him, he done it at Blackpool, like come out, or I think he gave away a penalty, won it, and then. But yeah, I mean,
I think he knocked Curtis Tilt out into the following week. I think when they punched for the penalty and just in the face.
But yeah, it was annoying because the second half, I thought we started well. Got the goal, absolute worldie, as we've all seen from Kean Harris. I doubt he'll score a better goal than that in his lifetime. But we got back, and that's the thing. We was looking good as well because the crowd, all of us were getting behind him, pretty much singing the whole game. My voice and everyone's voice was absolutely messed up.
Sean Dyche over here, right?
Yeah, proper Dyche. But we look in the in the ascendancy, and then that red card. I mean, I didn't obviously see what happened. I've seen the highlights after, and I know it's stupid from him. It is really stupid from a bloke, which is our second most experienced player, and he's just been announced captain. But it was sort of the same thing. I thought Johnson said the same thing, but obviously the ref, the game the ref was having, he was always going to give it.
Funny. I'm not being funny, Charlie. If someone puts their elbow in my face, I'm whacking them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I know you can't do that, but if you're going to give a red card for that, you've got to give a red card for raising your arm.
Absolutely. Yeah, they both should have seen red, but I think that's what done us in the end. Because although, like you said, Josh mentioned about the shots and the 17 shots, only 2 or 3 were on target. So, and it was just annoying. Forget that game, but big up Josh as well and Paul as well tuning in. But going on to the Cheltenham game as well, that was another one. It was weird because I thought we had a decent chance of winning it, even though there was quite a few changes, but I was expecting more. More changes, to be honest, because it was still quite a strong team, and we still managed to get played off the park. No wonder why there was fans at the end. I get that fans were annoyed as well. I was annoyed, but Josh, what did you make of that? Obviously, I was stood next to you during the game, and we were just saying like, what is going on? But yeah, looking back at it, what do you make of it?
First of all, Max, I'm from the dirty red south side of Bristol, so my voice is probably a bit different to these northern Bristol lads, but I get told I sound like someone from Cornwall or Devon, and my face don't match how deep my voice is. But yeah, in terms of I am nearly 30, but in terms of football, midfield just got bypassed. It went from defence to a non-existent attack. That's not laying any sort of blame towards Harvey Saunders as such, because he had nothing to play with. He was feeding off scraps. You can see he's a willing runner, but the sort of centre backs at fullbacks didn't work. It was kind of square pegs round holes. Barton was just filling a side out that he felt could upset the apple cart, but at the same time probably knew with that brittle midfield that we had not much of a chance, and he sort of, when he was walking off the pitch, he sort of tapped at his watch saying, sort of, give me some time. Because there's players playing in that game that, they aren't going to be here in the next few weeks, and it's the square peg round holes until we get everyone back fit. And that should play into people's judgment in terms of where we feel the team needs to be and at what stage. I feel like you can't blame the management staff and the management, the fact that we've had so many injuries. Who would have foreseen that the fact we thought we got a proven goal scorer in Brett Pittman, and then he's out for 3 weeks, and then Aaron Collins, we plugged that gap, that creativity gap. He's out. Brandon Hanlon, he's out. Is shit luck, really, to be honest. But at the same time, we've been crying out for depth, and that depth we've got currently isn't good enough. Albeit on paper, we've got a better squad than we did last season, and we were competing in League One. But everything's going against us at the minute. It's going to take a scrappy shithouse sort of 1-0 win or something. But everyone's just jumping on the bandwagon at the moment to, it's any old excuse just to get on the current regime's back. And we've got to sort of separate ourselves from that situation that, we all come to support Bristol Rovers. What goes on in the background currently is just, it is a heavy sort of cloud surrounding the club. But we've got to try and get behind, like what Chris Gouge is touching on there. I think it's going to be tense. I think,
I agree with that.
It's going to just be every single misplaced pass or anything. It was boiling over during the week at Cheltenham. We were singing "We've had a shot," and it was getting that bad. But it is,
isn't it?
Yeah, and it is aiming more things. It's more ammunition towards Spartan rather than the team. But what people don't understand is what you're doing is going to disrupt the sort of team chemistry, because they feel that disgruntlement. They hear it, and it's no good. I heard booing. I can't.
Yeah. There was loads of booing.
God's sake, that sort of put me in a even worse mood than I was in already. And I can just see it happening again Saturday, unfortunately. If things don't go our way, if there's an early goal or whatever for them, and there's just going to be further disgruntlement. There's people saying give him 10, 15 games. Well, you've got to let this squad settle regardless of what you think, and the atmosphere is going to be poisonous. It always is. They jump on such stupid things like paperless tickets, whatever else.
I've not even had mine yet.
I've had mine. I got my letter hurler.
Yeah, mine come today.
So try and reach through the screen and take it. I asked my mother when I was in work. I said, "Has a letter come for me?" And she went, "Yeah, it's come." I thought, "Here we go. Yes, it's arrived." and she opens it up, and there's something to do with like health related. I'm like, chuck in the bin or something, man. I'm like, I'm not interested about that at the minute.
I think we've all got underlying health watching Bristol Rovers.
Exactly. Well, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, trust me.
Put him back in hospital again, I think.
But it is equally the fans that equally make me feel ill sometimes, just because they're just. Even like the attendance stuff, like, we could have done better. Well, I'm not being funny, but we topped the attendance charts in the away attendance in League Two. What more do you want? We just come through a pandemic. Not everyone wants to mix and mingle and socially, cohorse with other people. Give us a break, for God's sake. People are sort of phasing themselves back into normal life. What more do you want? And Bristol Rovers are trying to accommodate that, and all you're doing is jumping on every decision that they make.
It's crazy. I mean, plus also the fact that I don't know if people know, but we actually got relegated last year, so you can see.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like even if like there's even at that Cheltenham game, it was just you could just see it. I mean, like you said, then every little decision it was getting like as the game went on, because it was poor. Don't get me wrong, but it is. I mean, Cheltenham Cheltenham are a good team. They're very well drilled. Also, they haven't. With Rovers, you got to look at it like how many players have left. Like about 15 players left, and we've brought about 15 players in. So it is going to take time. Even I said, before in other videos that it will take time because there's a lot of change. Cheltenham the other night, they were drilled and they haven't made that many signings. They pretty much got the same team that they won League Two last year. I know it was.
They're still on that crest of a wave, mate. They're still riding that crest.
Yeah,
and you get that Banks as well. And what they'll find is they'll do pretty well in League One because they're sort of an unknown entity, and there's a lot of decent players in that side. You got your Alfie Mays. They've signed Tyler Perry. They've got Liam Sercombe who can open doors, as we know, and they've got a sort of a makings of a good League One team, and Michael Duff will get that Banks and a lot of League Two clubs that go up normally as champions, and that team spirit they got, they don't tend to change it too much in the first year, and they'll feel that Banks. And I think we're just on the island of a better team, and we didn't play our best side, and we wouldn't have had a chance.
Yeah, it was just frustrating because also like you mentioned, like we were chatting at the game, the fact that the midfield for us was shocking. Let's face it, West, and that's the problem. If you've seen the Cheltenham the midfield, every time they got the ball, they turned around, they looked forward, and they knew where where the players were going. Like the wing backs or the right mid and left mid pushed right up, pressed us, and then obviously, like you said as well, there will be players that will be leaving Rovers, and I 100% think one will be Ben Liddell because he hasn't got the quality or the sort of men's body for football. He still looks like a kid. He still looks like he's in like year 11.
I didn't even know he played Tuesday.
Yeah, like there's nothing.
That's so like this is what I was. Sorry, it's getting in front of you, but
That's fine.
When I sat down and thought about this on Wednesday, because I'm always one of these. I usually gather my thoughts of it. Like when you sat there or during the game, you can't digest it. And I think about the game on Tuesday, and I can't add to what Josh said. He read my brain or whatever's left of it, and just everything I thought. It was spot on. But it's like what you were saying there. That team, the only players that I think that that are still here from last season, the only ones that stand out that would probably stay is Nicholson, Grant, and Hanlon. They're the only three that I can think of that was even Kilgore. I wouldn't sort of bank on him staying, because I think
Barton wants Alfie Kilgore because
I don't know. I don't know. There's something about him which and I love him for giving me that jacket 100%, but there's something about it. There's something that's not quite right. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like he's a bit nervous on the ball. I'm not sure, but when I looked at that team Tuesday, the midfield worried me, and we've got squad depth, but not going forward. We've got depth pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I look at that team, and like Josh was saying about the sort of how the fans at the moment getting on everything with Barton and so on. I think people have got to understand that it's going to be a tough first 10 games. I think if Rovers are top 10 upwards after 10 games, I'd be happy with it as long as we're in a competitive position. And I think that's what frustrated Rovers fans on Tuesday is that we can lose a game fine, but there's positive, spurts out of it, and there wasn't really.
Yeah, there was the main thing that bothered me is there was really no. I think the only positive I can take is because the thing is like Luke Thomas and Anderson, they were basically as soon as they got the ball, they had 2 or 3 men around them. They couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Plus the midfield were going backwards, like Westbrook. Grant, Little, they were just going backwards, and so the only positive was the keeper, in my opinion, because he kept us in it. He made some quality saves. If it wasn't for him, even, and of course, I got retweeted the other day on Twitter. And I said about Vassell, oh, he's crap. And yeah, of course he scored, but it was a tap in. He was thrown goal. The keeper saved it, and the defense just disappeared. Like, but obviously,
I felt sorry for young Taylor as well, because it was
BRC Tom. Look at that comment. Oh, mate, he loves him. He loves he loves Liddell, doesn't he? I don't know why, but
I'm more of an Aldi man, but his signing last year just seems so out of place. It just seems so out of place. I just don't really. But yeah, as I think with Barton, and I'm one of these who was frustrated at Mansfield and so on. But I think there was, how many times, and I've said this before, when Rovers had their first run in the fourth tier, it was 20 years ago now. I think out of our opening 5 seasons in Division 3 into League 2, we started 4 of them with a win. And look where we ended up. We were lower mid-table, fighting relegation or whatever. And when you look at onto a flip side of things, where pick a random season, I think it was Trollope's last full season in charge. We lost the first game to Leyton Orient. I think it was Lambert's last game. And I think we were 3rd after 10 games. So the season isn't won and lost after the first game of the season. I'm expecting 6 points in the next 2, but it is going to be a slow process. And I kind of, and it is hard when you've had practically 18, 19 months of losing every week.
Yeah, exactly. I
think it's 12. Yeah, I think it's 12 losses out of the last 14. But I do think there are some people that have an agenda against Barton, and
yeah, of course they do. There's loads. Yeah,
but I just think to myself, like, the end of the day, not one person's bigger than the club, right? When the teams come out and they're out there on the pitch, I don't even think about the manager. I look at those players who cross the white line. If you want to direct your anger at somebody, immediately in front of you, do it the players. I mean, it's not it's not always the manager's fault. And I have more times for managers now than I used to when I was a kid, because I was a kid and I was a teenager and I was stupid. But
yeah,
and I know, look, Barton's had a few. It's not like Barton's been here for 5 minutes, right? He's been here for 7 or 8 months. He hasn't had a chance to win until now. Could I think, like I said, I don't want to go back last year. Could another manager have kept us up? Perhaps, we don't know. But
no chance. Not with that squad. Not with that squad. I know the.
But it's like if my aunt had bollocks, she'd be my uncle. We don't know. So do you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's true. It's true, but
it's going to be hard. Like I say, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a bumpy season. It's not going to be. I don't think it'd be free flowing football every week, which I think people.
Of course, League Two is scrappy. There's a lot of long ball, physical. I mean, as well. Just big up Temperate Ufid and Riley Clark as well. And obviously, Tom's got this. The Durham De Bruyne apparently. Ben Liddell, no chance.
Ginger.
Yeah.
If you were ginger, then fair enough. But you got.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just crazy though. Like you said though, you summed it up perfectly. There's not many seasons that I can remember, even the good season where we got, even the conference season, we started terribly. The first 5 or 6 games, I think we lost them all. I think apart from maybe when we drew, we lost to Altrincham, Braintree. Even the season we got promoted to League One, following the back-to-back promotion, even again we started bad. And we always seem to start seasons bad, and it's made even more harder because obviously you've got the thing with Barton going on 50-50 or even I don't know what the percentage is, but you get what I'm saying. Half of people like him, half of the people just want him gone and obviously hate him. So, and obviously with the fact that, as we talked about and as everyone knows, all the signings and players, it will take time. And the thing as well with us is that the pre-season, of course, was crap because a lot of players didn't play because of COVID. Even Kilgore, right? I know you were saying stuff about Kilgore and maybe leaving or whatever, but I'm pretty sure.
Weight, hasn't he?
Yeah, but even his like last game before today, I think it was either Plymouth or maybe even the first friendly we played against Melksham, and then the thing that made it even harder is that he's a centre back. He's not got much pace, and obviously because because we haven't got another right back, and he obviously saving Luca Hall for the weekend because he's been the best player so far. That he had to play right back, and obviously he didn't have a clue. He was just getting run ragged. They knew what they was doing, but could play because he's injured. Pittman's injured, so. And that's the thing. The big news, obviously, this week was that they played the behind closed doors training game. Obviously, Finley, Rodman, and Nicholson all played 60 minutes or 70 minutes. Finley scored as well, which is a positive sign. He might even be. I wouldn't be surprised because our midfield was so poor against Cheltenham. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts. Me and Josh said it before you come on, Jake. Me and Josh said it as well. So it'd be interesting what team he plays and what happens. Going on to the other thing, obviously obviously everyone knows about it. I've done a quick video on it earlier. The Hanlon situation was quite funny. Lincoln going in for him. Rovers rejecting a bid because the fact that it was under the valuation, and plus, I don't think even. I think maybe if you give it a couple of weeks, because there's still 3 weeks left, I think, of the transfer window. So we'll see. But I think maybe if we get all of our strikers back, then maybe if they come in with a better bid, well, then we might accept him. But go on to you, Josh. Obviously, what's your thoughts? Obviously, I know you said earlier, but just to explain everyone on the situation, what's your feeling with it?
I think the fee we've paid for Brandon has to be matched before we even consider it. I know he's got a lot of doubters at the club, and I think, he probably did underperform. But 2, did we burn him into the ground when he was playing with injuries? Probably. Could you rely on a 23-year-old kid to be the sort of main man without recruiting others? No. So he was a scapegoat for a lot of people, but at the same time, I don't think he necessarily performed as well as he could do. If the fees matched or higher, he doesn't want to stay here, then I wouldn't stand in his way. If he wants to stay and fight for his place, then maybe there's a player in there. As you touched on earlier, is the same with the Cheltenham having the bounce. When you get relegated, especially bottom of the league, as poor as we did, there's a hangover, and that takes some time. And some of these players will suffer with that. I reckon the likes of Hanlon probably are. He's still suffering with injuries now. Is that not a telltale sign? If the fee's right, Lincoln, whoever it may be, then maybe it is best for both parties to maybe look at alternatives and see what that money could get. Maybe as I've seen certain names being bandied around which could offer a lot more, especially in League Two. The likes of James Norwood of Ipswich and even Caden Jackson's not getting a sniff in. Is it worth getting the money that Hanlon's commanded and adding a bit more for a sort of proven striker in League Two? For me, it's a no-brainer. But I wouldn't. Your hair that cut your what? Is a no-brainer for me. Maybe the less players we have from last season, the better. If he can prove us wrong, even if he plays Saturday and we sort of see some promise from it, it'd be nice. He seems to die away, but not gradually. He just became non-existent overnight.
It was quick, wasn't it? He was doing well. Like he started well, and then it was. I'm trying to think of what sort of period, but because you've seen it was just what I said, and what a lot of people have said about his touch and just the way it's like he's playing in football trainers like Astro. He just falls down.
He's got his shoes on the wrong foot, I think.
Yeah, he just because like you said, he started well, and then there was a period it was quick. He went from really good. and he was holding the ball up and stuff, and then the next minute, it was just like, I think it was Charlton. That was the game that really annoyed me. It was Charlton away, where every time, that was when a younger done quality, one took on like 3 players, won the penalty, and then Hanlon was just there falling over. Not every time it hit him, it just bounced off him.
It's criminal, though, Charlie. It's criminal, mate, that we were allowed to compete in a season with projects, no proven goal scorers, but projects. Crazy. All of them were either sort of a rough diamond from non-league or someone with a little bit of promise here, a youngster from Crystal Palace in James Daly.
Crazy,
how it's criminal that was allowed to happen, and maybe that wasn't down to Ben Garner, maybe that was higher, and surely we should learn 100%. From our mistakes now, and we need more than one proven goal scorer. Saunders, again, shows a lot of promise, not proven. Aaron Collins, more of a number 10. Brett Pittman's our only sort of proven out-and-out goal scorer. You can't go into a season without that depth. And look, we're suffering from it now. We've got no one. We've got a willing striker. He's a willing runner. He's never scored 10, 15 goals. We've been blessed at Bristol Rovers, and that sort of plays into our expectations at times. We've had a lot of, we took a lot of risk, but we've been paid off with goal scorers quite a lot of the time. Your Lamberts, Curtin, Ellingtons, Roberts, the list goes on. We had Hoskins for a season. We're crying out for that, and that plays a massive part in a lot of our fans' expectations. It's not fair, but it's criminal to recruit the way we did, and we're suffering from it now. So those sort of decisions being made, maybe higher up the chain, should be questioned. Give the guy who's now been given a chance with a different direction, a different head of recruitment now, a chance, because we're suffering from that hangover. Maybe he has to clear a lot of the dead wood, and it might work out elsewhere, but we need a clean slate, and we need goals.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, obviously, the point you brought up, because, with Norwood and Caden Jackson as well, because obviously everyone's probably seen, but have you seen how many strikers Ipswich have? They literally have about 7 or 8 strikers. They've got Pigott, Macaulay Bone, Barry, Aluko, Jackson, Norwood. It's mental, and Connor Chaplin as well. So they've got all them strikers. So if obviously the Hanlon situation, and once everyone's back, within 3 weeks, you'd hoping, all of our strikers would be back. But we will see. We'll see what happens. Jay, quickly, what's your thoughts on this situation? Are you handling in or handling out? What would you?
I'm neither, really. Like, I think there's a player in there. 100% there's a player in there. And I kind of said in the early part of last season, because he was quite raw, it was quite exciting, because you never knew what way he'd fucking go. He might knock the ball and it'd go over there, and it's like, but it made stuff happen.
Problem is, he didn't know either.
No, exactly. It's like he left his brain in the tunnel, I think. But no, he made stuff happen, and I was excited by him. I think that moment for me with Hanlon was when Tisdale came in, because he got 2 against Wimbledon, I think, in Tisdale's first win.
Yeah,
and that was it. It's like it completely cut his legs from underneath him. And so I'd be open to Hanlon going, unless I'd only be able to Hanlon going if Rovers bringing someone else first. I don't want Hanlon to go and then we're left with only 3.
Yeah, definitely.
Because no Rovers, like, we won't get anyone else. So I think it's better to have someone who's probably more than a bit rough around the edges, to be honest. But like Josh was saying, like with recruitment and so on, subject to Ben Garner, I wish him nothing but the best at Swindon, because I respect the man for what he tried to do. And,
mate, look at Garner, mate. 3-1 win, mate. They're balling, and then there's us.
We'll get a bit of time, but I just think
to a man.
Yeah, true. To be fair, but to a man, Ben Garner, I'll never say a bad word about what he tried to do. And I do definitely think there was more than just his decision going on there. I think Mark Little said in his interview, didn't he, that Garner was great and it was mainly people who were above him.
Yeah,
So,
definitely above.
so,
It was
so,
definitely a lot
so
above as
yeah.
well.
So to a man, I mean, I understood Rover's idea, but you've got to have some experience, lads. Now, and he did try, but you've got to have it in every position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll have respect for Garner for what he tried to do, and but Josh said we're suffering from it now, and it's going to take a long time. So yeah, and Hanlon is part of that, sadly. But who knows? He might come in, whenever he's fit. Say we keep him, and he might score 10 or 15 goals, and all of a sudden it doesn't look too bad. So I wish nothing for the best for him. I think, I mean, if a club like Lincoln, who have done very well over the last, um, 2 or 3 years coming up from non-league, and they've kept that momentum going. If a club like Lincoln are looking at him, they must see something in him, and they must see there's something to work with. So, and when you look at the players who have gone on, I know Emer, yeah, he's gone back to Gillingham where he's comfortable at. Tutonda's gone now, so they must see something in him. So a lot of these players, I think Rovers have, like Hanlon, Westbrook, they're probably really good players in a good team. They're not a player to take a shit team and turn it into something decent. It's more they've got to be part of a good team, I think. But yeah, I think if the money's right for Hanlon, then fair enough, take it. But yeah, I said you've got to have someone lined up. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Rovers say to a couple of clubs, look, we're waiting for an offer on this player. Let us get this offer, and then we'll come back to you. Or here's the offer we're thinking of if we get the funds for this player. I mean, I don't know how the fuck it works, but I'm sure Rovers are probably making inquiries, and if they're not looking for another striker, what was the Rover Barton said that, but it's just criminal at the moment to be in a position that we are, especially when I look at the signing of like a Harvey Saunders and like that, who to me is just a like for like replacement with Daly, who I wouldn't have minded if we kept him, but he's moved on. But I don't really. The only player that has come in that I think is maybe a step above what we had before was maybe Aaron Collins and obviously Brett Pittman, but that's mainly about it going forward. But yeah, I think it's one of those. I said if the money's right, take it. Everybody's got a price.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just before we do start talking about the likes of Daly and Chris Lines, one quick question, because obviously me and Josh were talking about the other day about the letting. We still need to get rid of players to that allow the restrictions and stuff on a match day squad and in the club. If there was, say, 3 or 4 players off the top of your head that you would let go, who would it be? Starting with you, Josh. If there was 3 or 4 players, who would you let go?
So glad you've gone to Josh first.
Yeah, that's
bit of a tough one, but there's
yeah,
a few.
I don't, I don't, me, I don't slag sort of players off as such, but because if you're playing for my club, then I want you to do the best. But in terms of it not working out as such, Liddell would be one. Barra, unfortunately, because we haven't actually seen the best of
We've
him.
hardly seen him play, haven't we?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't base that on ability, because it's just the fact that he might be commanding a certain wage, and we just can't afford to use up a squad place when we need that right now. We need that depth. So yeah, Little
That
Barra.
BOS Tom has got something with Liddell, hasn't he?
I reckon he's
And
got him as his wallpaper.
Yeah, he's probably got his wallpaper and
he's got Lee Judges, hasn't he?
Yeah,
as his signature.
He's done it again, like
Yeah, he's I think. How many do we have to get rid of?
3 or 4. 3 or 4. It's up to you.
Because I think there's player. I think there's a player in Harris. There's a player in Baldwin, and we need that sort of defensive depth. I know we've seen certain mistakes from Baldwin where he tends to switch off, but he isn't one of the sort of the worst perpetrators as such. It's hard to I think Barrett and Liddell and Hargreaves maybe, because he may not feature, and again is another space in the squad that we could implement and use sort of more, because our midfield is non-existent at times, and Coots and Finley, when they're fit, they will sort of be, and Grant. But Grant and Westbrook, again, Westbrook come with so much promise, and like we've said previously, like Jake's touched on, these are good players in good teams. They implement the best out of other players because they're playing with good players. And Zane Westbrook just strikes me as the like to get a team ticking, but a good team. And Coventry were a good, fast-paced team, high press, move the ball away, free passes, you're in the opposite box. We don't do that at Rovers. How many times did we see it being played across the back to sort of build up a non-existent move? And he's not the guy to engineer that. He's the guy to sort of play in those spaces and stuff, and put a Luke Thomas or a Nicholson through. Maybe we'll see the best of him if he does stay, when those guys feature more, and maybe those 10-15 games, we get to see the best out of him. I'm still not, the jury's out for me with Grant as well. I wouldn't be overly upset. I know he will feature, so he's not one likely to go. I just have a feeling it's going to be Harries or Baldwin, despite the fact that they feature. I think one of them's going to go because they earn a fair whack in. We've got Kilgore, who seems to, he talks about these captains, and he mentions Kilgore in them. And he's local and what have you, and he's under a certain age. So yeah, there's a lot of players that there's probably more than 4 that you probably write down. But again, I don't want to sort of, if I say a name, I wouldn't slag them off as such. I just feel they're using up numbers in the squad that we could probably utilise and get players in that are. Answer me this: like, do you feel the likes of Tom Mayhew stepping up when he's fit, would he do a worse job?
What than Josh Grant
or Ben Liddell?
No, probably not, because the game he played in a few. Obviously, I know they're checker trade games, but I've seen
against League Two opposition.
Yeah, and he played against because he played 2 games, didn't he? I think it was played against Walsall, who were League 2 last season, scored as well, great goal, and he scored against Oxford away. So, and they were obviously League One still League One at the time. But yeah, I mean, no, I think they do deserve a bit more of a chance, because I can't see why not. Like you said, it's a good question to ask. Would they look at a place? And I don't think they would.
It's not necessarily ability wise. I'm just saying, from what we've seen, and will these guys give a better account of themselves in the current situation? Because you might be a good player, you look a good player, but certain faces fit certain clubs, and it's clear to see some just aren't working out. And we could really do with some players coming in and using those squad numbers effectively. We're all whinging about depth, and we need it. These guys won't even command. They're under the limit and they're homegrown. So why not just we've seen a little bit of it. Ryan Jones, Luca Hall, Giovanni Longley, a 16-year-old kid. He put a better of account of himself than a lot of players that we've seen over the last year or so.
Yeah, because even obviously got Walker as well. Obviously, I was gutted that he didn't play, but apparently he had a tight hamstring. And even Martinez, look at him last season. He was when he come in the team, he was our best player. For the last 10 games of the season, he was quality. So yes, you're not wrong. And like you said, they don't sort of count in that other bracket. But Matt B 1702 says Joe Bird. Yeah, he's another one as well. Whenever I've seen him, and obviously a few preseason games, he looked good as well. But yeah, big up to 29 of you currently watching. Please hit the like if you haven't already. Feel free to share the stream. Keep getting your comments in. We will be going over the lineups and predictions in a minute. But just looking at go with you, Jake, for quickly. What do you make of obviously Stevenage this year, or this season, 2 games in? Obviously, they've beaten Barrow 1-0. Apparently, I watched one of their podcasts as well, and they said they should have beaten Barrow 3 or 4-0, and obviously got through the other night against Cardiff. No, not Cardiff. My bad. Luton, sorry, on penalties. What do you make of them and the sort of test they're going to bring?
I think it'd be a tough game. I'll give you my 3 or 4 players. I wouldn't mind if they went. I'll give you my 4
that's
players.
fine. Yeah. Go on, chuck them in.
That's right. Chuck them in. So one of these probably a bit controversial than others. So like as Josh said, I wouldn't wish these to go, but if your head was on the chopping block and you had to get rid of them, so probably be Barrett. He's never been fit. I think there's a player in there, but his injury problems have just too much. I think Ben Liddell, shop at Aldi. Hargreaves, I think he's 23 this year. It's how long does that? He's a youngster. Give him a chance. How long does that kind of go for? I don't think he's developed from a player when we saw him 3 years ago. And this one's a bit of a controversial one, and feel free to shoot me if you like.
Wait there. Just before you say it, I'm going to guess. I'm going to say Alfie Kilgore because he was giving him slander at the start. No.
Josh, do you have a punt?
So what, he played last season?
He did play last season, yeah.
What about Westbrook? I reckon Westbrook.
It ain't Westbrook. I tell you, I'm surprised none of you have got this one. I could say Rodman.
Rodman?
Because he's.
Why is that?
I just don't see him fitting in, to the system that we got. I mean, he's a right midfielder, right wing back or either side really. I thought he played pretty well on the left last year. But he's up there in age. He's 34 this year. He's been injured a lot for a lot of the time. He's been at Rovers really. And I just think there's players that are ahead of him, and I just don't. I mean, he's probably on a pretty hefty wedge of money as well, because I think he was signed under Clark, so he liked chucking his money about. But I just don't sort of see a future for Rodman at all. And he's an all right player. I think he'd be very good at League 2 level, but I just don't really see a spot for him, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he obviously signed a contract, and so he'll be gone at the end. I think he's a quality player to have around. Like the games he obviously had a lot of injuries last year, but the games he did play, and I thought he was really good. The Accrington one springs to mind when he scored that Wildy with his left foot. But I think he's a good 100%. Player to. I think he's
one of our captains as well. Like he is a leader.
Yeah, leader.
He gives us something different, doesn't he? He's that versatile type where he can play maybe not as good as others, but he can play wing back. He can even play up front, and he's one of those that sort of leaves it all on the pitch. I think knowing Barton, he is like he'd probably be one of the first on the team sheet if he was fit. And he always mentions him in his match that he's coming back. And Rodman, Nicholson, they sort of always get put in the same bracket. And he's been fantastic in League 2, but I can see why injuries the last season.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, because
I think that's just my concern is just like the injuries, and it's just the contract situation. He's probably on a good wedge, but yeah, that's my Fab Four, as I like to call it. I mean, I only got 4 fingers on this hand, that probably works. That's my Fab Four. So, I think Stevenage are going to be they're going to be an interesting kettle of fish because they were saved really by Macclesfield a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I think any Stevenage fan will tell you they were lucky. Because it was quite late on as well. It wasn't like it was just after the season was chopped off. Last season they were struggling at the wrong end of the table. A club like Stevenage and where they are geographically, you would have thought, the bigger teams around them, they would get some better players in. It's too early to tell. So they had a good result on the weekend there. you say they beat Barrow last weekend, so
Yeah, beat them 1-0, but apparently it could have been 3 or 4. So is that how bad Barrow are or how good Stevenage are?
Exactly.
To be fair to Stevenage, like you just said, they started awful last year, but they ended really well. Obviously, brought Lindsay in to make the midfield a bit more solid. But like you said, it's going to be a strange one. Quickly getting over to some comments. Gav D said, I would lose Baldwin, Hargreaves, Liddell, and Barrett. Yeah, I can agree with that. Will Green also says, I would argue Baldwin is by far the most likely to go. He has far less upside than Harry's and could see a lower mid-table League 2 team making a punt on him. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, like, it hasn't really... Because when he was at Hartlepool, me and Josh was saying about it the other night, when he was at Hartlepool, he went to Peterborough for like nearly £1 million, or it might have even been £1 million, and he done well there. Again, that's where it started happening, and I think that's what's. But then out of nowhere, he got his move to Sunderland. But there was that one game I remember on Sunderland Till I Die, when it was that one game he had an absolute shocker against Coventry, and then he was dropped. He was dropped completely, and you know he hasn't. 5-4. He made 2 mistakes, and he hasn't recovered from that. And as you said, he could look so good, and then the next minute he even did it on Tuesday. Like he was there comfortable, and he made some mistake, but. Yeah,
where we were standing to, we had like because the scoreboard was packed in, so I had my watch, and it was a game start. I've wondered how long. We all were saying, how long will it take for Baldwin to make a mistake? I think we clocked in at 12 minutes. Not that we sort of want any player to make a mistake, but he is a liability sometimes at the back. Although, as I just said in the chat there, he's a good conversation. It's one of those where, again, is a sort of. Is he again one of those sort of captain type people that Barton would like to keep? I mean, for an experienced head, I mean, he does seem quite a quiet chap. Sort of, he's not really the kind of guy who I'd want sort of to go into the trenches with.
Because now the thing is as well, I've seen a lot of people don't realise. A lot of people still think he's like early 20s, but he's not. He's like, I think he's 28, maybe 29. Is he 30 this year? Is he? I thought he was a little bit younger than that, even though it's still young. Just saying, but it's going to be. Wait, Matt's. A few people have already given their predictions. Matt says 2-1 win. 2-1 win Rovers. Kieran Simpson says, as a Sunderland fan, Rovers will finish third. I hope so. I hope so. James Lane says 2-1 win for Rovers on the weekend. Jake B says keep Baldwin. Had a great chat with him after Tuesday. Reece Nichols, yeah. I'm sorry. That was you, wasn't it? I was saying, who the fuck? Reece Nichols says Rovers will win 3-1 Saturday. Matt B, Barrett, Liddell, Hargreaves, and Rodwin for me because of his injuries. Yeah, that's fair enough. Wayne says 2-1. I mean, we will get over to predictions in about 5 minutes. But Josh, what do you make of Stevenage and who they brought in? Obviously got Lindsay and started well. It will be a tough game, won't it?
Oh yeah, no doubt on that. I think Alex Ravel's come in and done a really good job. I think a former Bristol Rovers coach is still in and around it with Joe Dunn, and I know if people don't know, but I've got a lot of time for Joe, and I think he was a lot to do with how good we were when Coughlin was there. He's a great manager. He's a great person. If he's still there, I can see why they're doing pretty well. Just a top bloke. And Alex Ravel he's quite a well sort of tested League Two player, and he knows how to sort of succeed in there. Not necessarily always the pretty side, but Elliot List is one that sort of comes to mind. He tends to get quite a lot of the goals. They got Luke Norris as well from Colchester a few seasons ago. Wily old League Two players that do a good job, and he's quietly assembled a decent enough squad to compete in that division. Chris Lyons, like you say, James Daly. Chris Lyons is just the experience alone will be beneficial for Stevenage. But they're a club with not many expectations. Let's see how long they last if things do go south. With Graham Wesley coming back, the bloke's a complete and utter helmet. He he once gave me the finger when I asked him what the score was, and he was calling himself the medal winner. I thought, what a plonker!
Is he back there? Is he back there in director form? Is he always here as a coach?
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. He's an absolute. Oh, he's a specimen.
He's I think first words that come to my mind when I think of Graham Wesley is Bellend, but
Bellend. There's quite a few to. He's been like
over there to the gentleman's area. I've noticed there. Or this got the word on away.
He's a businessman in the football world. Everything he does, he sort of complies it with business, and like he's so strange. At Preston, they were like, "What the?" They were doing like imaginary weight sessions, and they had to imagine how heavy the weights are. And like, apparently, he's a class A just nutter, but he clicks. He just clicks with Stevenage every time he goes back. They tend to stay in the division or do something. And like I was saying earlier about certain faces, certain fit in certain clubs, he's one of those. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he's back there. But yeah, in terms of they've got not as much expectations on their shoulders, so they might be one of the clubs that sort of go under the radar as such, and that frightens me a little bit about Saturday, because a lot of people are, again, just expectations because it's Bristol Rovers Stevenage that we've got some divine right to win when we're all in the same division and they've got 3 points and we don't. And I wouldn't underestimate them at all, and I hope Joe's still there, and I hope to catch up with him, because after every Rovers game he used to come find me and we used to break the game down, and not many people, not many coaches will do that with fans, and he sort of always sort of picked me out in the clubhouse and came and talked to me, and when stuff wasn't going too well he was always there to sort of ask how everything was. Just a top bloke, and football needs more people like that, and Stevenage are lucky if he's still there. If not, then he's probably had a good influence, and Alex Ravel's probably benefited from that. And then you've got your Chris Lyonses and stuff who, they'll be fantastic. They also signed Jamie Reid. It didn't really work out for him in Mansfield, but we know what pedigree he's had from his Torquay, even Western Supermare days. I think it'll work out for him now. I think he'll go there with that less expectation. Mansfield, you've got constant pressure to do well. Stevenage, not so much. And yeah, I think that Stevenage will quietly go under the radar this season.
Yeah, it should be interesting as well, because I looked when it was on the fan hub bit on the different fans bit, and on the Stevenage, it said that apparently they play a 4-2-2 with but the thing is with them, they don't have any wingers. They play like centre mids in the two, just behind the two strikers. It's going to be interesting to see if Daly plays as well. I haven't seen their lineup from the league game, but I think Linesy played, but I'm not sure if Daly did. But it'd be interesting because obviously Linesy, I've seen it on Twitter earlier on saying that his family have got a box, so they'll be up there. So, but yeah, hopefully
I'll see him there.
Yeah, obviously you're in the box as well, aren't you? Few more comments. Wayne says 3-1 Rovers. Matt says 2-1 Gas. Kieran says Baldwin was shocking that game against Coventry. He made at least 3 mistakes, so it wasn't just 2, it was 3 in the first half and quite a few in the second half. Sunderland fan, he didn't really prove that he was good enough. Yeah, I remember that because straight after that game, he didn't play again. Matt says fact check. Baldwin is 28, so yeah, he's not as young as people think he is. But yeah, I think
he's younger than me.
Yeah. What were you just saying about Graham Wesley there, right? I thought I did a bit of search as we were here. On the Stevenage YouTube channel, the football club, they've got like his program notes, right? It's nearly 7 minutes long. It looks like he's like taking you through his pre-match tactics or something. And what he's
That's
trying to
crazy.
explain is, I'll put a link in a little thing later on. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like someone just, he looks like one of those people you'd employ as a company, or he'd employ you, and then you got to go and deliver the bad news to somebody. Like, oh, you're
You've
fired.
got to address him. As a player, you've got to address him as medal winner.
Probably, yeah.
No, that's smart, isn't it?
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me.
There's one question here. What is one Rovers player that you would bring back? I'm not sure if that's current or let's just go for that. Which one Rovers player that's currently playing you would bring back? I think that's a pretty easy question, really. Go with you, Jake, first. Who would you bring back? Still playing. Still playing though.
What do you mean, realistically, or
no? Just I don't know. He just says, "What player would you bring back?"
Well, right now I'd probably bring back Clark Harris, but then I wouldn't trust the service to him because that'd be pretty much pointless. Probably like Tom Lockyer, probably because he's probably achieved the most since leaving. Probably. I wasn't the biggest fan of the captain either. I think he's better without the captain's armband. But probably Tom Lockyer.
What about you? What about you, Josh? Who would you bring back?
I'd say Luke McCormick, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, Luke McCormick.
Yeah, I know he's a loan player, but if you look at, I mean, but Bowden, I'd say Bowden and Harvey, but we've got
injuries and stuff.
Nicholson, Thomas. We don't have a Luke McCormick. We don't have a willing runner to transition from defence to attack.
So good, wasn't he?
I'd bring him back. I know he wasn't a Rovers player as such, but current Rovers former player that's still playing, Luke McCormick.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Riley Clark says Lee Brown. I would bring back Lee. There's much better players than Lee for me personally to bring back.
Bruce says, fan of his, were you?
No, well, I did like him, but he wasn't as good as people said he was. Some people said he was like. I mean, it was fair play to him that he obviously still stayed with us when we went down because he was at Rovers for like 8 years.
Yeah,
therefore, he joined us in like 2010, 2011, and he was come here as like a youngster and left when he was like 28, 29. It's crazy.
Yeah, he was one of Paul Buckle's signings, but I think because he was at England C international, I reckon that's.
England international as well.
You know I mean? That was his profile picture on Facebook. I think it might still be actually. He's just doing that England game.
Yeah, it's interesting. But getting. I'm not obviously. You probably wouldn't have it wrote down, but we're going to go through lineups. Please, everyone in chat, get your lineup. I know a few people already said their lineup, but if you put it down again, put your lineup who you would play on the weekend. Which one of you wants to go first? Because you probably don't have your lineups wrote down, but if who wants to go first?
Go on, Jake.
Josh. No.
Okay, then.
I still don't know who's fit and who's. I still couldn't tell who they were on Tuesday. I was trying to read the numbers on the back of their shirts. I think I just put my glasses on, and I still can't see where they was on anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of this black font on the blue kit. I can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh. He would.
Go on, Josh. Help me.
Playing?
I'm gonna go Belshall in goal.
I rate that, you know.
Luca Hall to start at right back, and then I go Anderson, Hughes, and Harries. I go 4 at home. I don't like 5.
No, not 5 at the back at home. No chance.
So Harries or Anderson left, or sorry, Alfie. And then I'd go.
Not giving you his jacket now, is he?
I don't want his jacket.
Well, I'll do and say I haven't washed it. Yeah, that sounds a bit creepy.
You sniff it at night.
It's like 2 years old.
Luca Hall was class. Yeah, you're right there, mate.
Yeah.
I'd go with Grant. No, Grant and Finley. And then I'm going to start. I'm going to start Thomas off the right, Anderson off the left, or and Nicholson down the middle with Saunders. I'm gonna
You would
risk
start
our
Nicholson as well.
yeah. We've got to start well. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say interchangeable 3 in behind Saunders, Thomas, Nicholson, Anderson. I think they're our 3 best players in terms of attacking threat, because unfortunately for Saunders, he never had anything. He was just running into sweet nothings. And what could you get a better sort of 3 and behind in League Two? I mean,
that's
it
mad,
might not
isn't
come
it?
to fruition, but that on paper is disgusting. So yeah, that's my team.
That's interesting. Quick comment here from Matt says Yakola, Hall, Harries, Hughes, Anderton, Grant, Spence, Westbrook, Anderson, Saunders, Thomas. I mean, I'm not sure Spence. Come on, he couldn't even, he didn't do that well. I don't know, but that's fair enough.
Spence, isn't it?
Louis Spence.
He's that dancing bloke, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louis Spence. Reese says Yakola, Hall, Hughes, Kilgore, Anderton, Grant, Westbrook, Finley, Thomas, Saunders, Anderson. That's fair enough. Kian says hopefully Nicholson and Finley can provide more shots. Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think so. But Jake, have you got your lineup ready?
Well, I'm not saying this because I don't know who the players are, and nor do I know who's fit and stuff. I would just go with the same lineup Josh said, because I think that is practically the best team you could play.
Yeah,
I think that is the best team Rovers could play. I can understand maybe sort of sticking with Jacola, but I think I said this last week. I can see Belshaw becoming number 1 anyway. You know, I think if he was happy to sit as number 2, he wouldn't have come here. You know, that's partly why he left Harrogate. So I can see kind of, not that I would wish this, but I can kind of see it being the situation we had a few years ago with Smith and Slocum. They played like half the games each.
Bloody hell, Smith, mine. I mean, Slocum was decent, but
and Joe Lumley came and saved the fucking day.
Yeah, mate, Smith, what a shambles of a keeper. I don't think there ain't many keepers that. I mean, the amount of times I remember he just used to come out and just take. I
think he caught more in Thailand that time, didn't
he? Yeah, with Leicester, with the Leicester youth team, and Nigel Pearson's son as well was there.
Yeah. I'll say this about the 2 keepers, right? It's weird. They seem to, like, with Smith and Slocum, it's like they complemented each other. If they were a centre-back pairing, they'd be pretty good. But it's like for every one good thing...
Nah, mate, if they were a centre-back pairing, they would literally be Jack Baldwin on a bad day, like every time.
Jero Ifill, mate. Oh, my God.
Oh, geez, yeah. We went from dark to... You know, through the bottom of the ground with that one. Like that's dark times for Rovers.
Reese says Smith, you must be. Yeah, I mean, Puddy was pretty bad as well, but at least he didn't have to. I mean, that season it was Smith played a hell of a lot of games as well. Like Puddy was only he didn't really play much. Jerry
Adam Smith used to spin around, didn't he? He used to take the goal kick, didn't he?
He was off his rocker, mate. He was still.
Louis Spence that I know doing these little pirouettes.
Yeah, he was mad. Yeah, Jerry says Pittman if he's fit. He's still injured. I think it's weird. Barton last week it said Pittman would be 2 weeks, and then Barton was like, "Yeah, you know," in that interview, like Barton, yeah, like you know, if you're talking to me, it's 3 weeks. If you're talking to the medical team, it's 4 weeks. But I don't have a clue. But yeah, so Jake, you would go with the same lineup as Josh, then?
I go with it. Yeah, it's to be honest, it's I think it's the best team that we could play. Maybe the exception. So in it, Clark, the chap we signed from Rotherham, is he injured at the moment?
Yeah, he's injured. He should be back soon though.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good option to have. I think, to be honest with you, I think our defence is relatively all right. Like, it's really weird. Apart from the goals we conceded, like against Mansfield, I wasn't at all worried about us conceding a goal at all. So I wasn't too worried. I think we'll win a lot of games 1-0 or 2-1, if I'm honest, this season, which ain't going to be pretty. And it's much like when we went up from League 2 in 07. But
it's going to be. It's not because it's got even more like like shithousery in League Two now. It's not as in. It's a lot more physical than it used to be, because when we were back in there, 5 years ago now, it was mainly. I mean, to be fair, our team was class at the time. Our team was quality at the time. You had Bowden on fire, the best he's ever been in his career.
And Taylor was doing bits as well, man.
Taylor was doing bits. You had Lindsay, Ollie Clark, even Ellis Harrison. He had a good quality season that year as well. But Reese says Everidge was class. Yeah, Everidge, he was quality on loan as well, wasn't he? Giacomo Licata says, hi guys, played 2 games and signs don't look that good. Going to be a long, hard season if we don't get a few wins under our belt with injuries and play the kids. It's good. Yeah, it's going to be a long
game
season.
In. Yeah, it's one game in. Yeah. Give it a chance. As we got to sort of go into the next 10, 15 games with, unfortunately, a sort of patient outlook. It's one game in. Signs didn't look that good, but pre-season, who gives a shit? And we were unlucky to get a point at probably one of the better teams in League Two, and Cheltenham. Yeah, we sort of threw that away. Yeah, it's going to take time, unfortunately. If we don't get some wins, the atmosphere is going to change, but this team's going to come together, and I don't think is that bad of a squad.
No.
Yeah, so it's a good. We just need the players back from injury, but hopefully, like you said, I mean, I would definitely have to agree with both of you. Well, that it has to be that. I think Luca Hall, class, been our probably best player throughout pre-season, let alone the first game against Mansfield. Then, I mean, Belshaw, why not? I thought he did well. Yakola looked a bit dodgy against Mansfield. Why not give Belshaw another game, innit? He made some quality saves, kept the score down against Cheltenham. So, obviously, like you said, you got, Hall, Hughes, Harries, Anderton, Grant and Finley in the middle, with Thomas, Thomas, Anderson, Saunders, and who else? Westbrook, did you say?
No, Thomas, Anderson, Nicholson, Saunders.
Oh yeah, Nicholson. Yeah. I'd love to see that. If Nicholson was that'd be amazing.
There's not some sons in our team like Anderton, Nicholson. You wouldn't say that when you're drunk, would you? You end up just naming 4 different players and you wouldn't know who was going to be. My worry is there just won't be any patience there. That's my worry. I mean,
it's same old Rovers though, is it? It never is. Won a few bad games, or 2 games without a win, and fans. That's what Rovers. Even I remember that as
any
a kid.
fan. Is any fan? Yeah, every fan's fickle. Every fan's fickle. You look at the Premier League, and they've got they get upset about finishing outside the top 6. These big clubs, and it turns quicker.
Yeah, that's interesting. What Max Carter just put. Kyle Bennett is just signed for Telford.
Yeah, he lives in Wolves, doesn't he? So that's going back home.
That's crazy.
Going back home to sort of recreate his career, I think, because he's from Wolves. Him and Elliot, from Wolves. So that's sort of he's gone back home because he couldn't.
That's mad, though. He was on track. I seen a video.
Notts County, wasn't it?
Yeah, Notts County, and he scored an absolute worldie. But that's crazy, Telford.
Where are they Conference South now? No, because I know they were national.
I don't know. And to think as well, when he was at Rovers, he was our highest paid player. He was on 5-6 grand a week, mate. Kyle Bennett.
That's why he can afford to do this. That's why, because he's made enough in his career, he can still get paid. But he does other. He's not just does that. He's got other interests as well.
Yeah, he does that. He does that. Herbalife as well thing, whatever, But Kian said I would start Spence ahead of Westbrook. He was awful at Mansfield. Yeah. Jason MH says, who do you predict most goals and assists? I think we said, what was it, most goals? I can't remember. Pittman. I think I said, Pittman. 40
Pittman
goals. 40 goals, Brett Pittman won it, we said. Should be. But next, score predictions to end. Get your score predictions in the comments. Make sure to hit a like if you haven't already. Sub if you haven't already as well. Josh, we're going with you first. Score prediction: Rovers' first home league game against Stevenage. What are you saying?
I want to be positive.
He's thinking hard, isn't he, about that?
I want to be positive. I went with a 2-1 last week, and it was 2-1. It just went to us, and I think 3-1 Bristol Rovers. 3-1. Sam Nicholson's
3-1.
back. He's going to score. Rodman's going to come on and score one, and then Kean Harries is going to score.
Kean Harris is going to score another volley from the edge of the box. Oh my god, that's mad. Jake, what about you? Are you that confident scoring 3 goals in one game after the start we've had?
Well, I don't know. I think that picture I sent you guys of when we were on the stream last week, when I was looking out there, I think that was sort of.
He's like,
yeah, I know. Well, I just started raining this week. To be honest, my head is saying a nice, easy 3-0 win, and the game would be done. Like when we beat like when we beat Hereford 6-1 all those years ago.
My god.
But my heart is saying a dirty, filthy, horribly grotty 1-0 win in the last minute. Or when it was like,
oh mate, that would be amazing. A last minute winner just to get everyone buzzing.
Maybe one of those games where like it'd be last on match of the day type thing. Do you know what I mean? Or it's a shit atmosphere because we have
last on the EFL show. You mean?
Yeah, on the EFL show. I like that program. Big up Colin Murray.
Last game on the bloody
yeah. I have to maybe pass your bedtime with us on there, but I can just see the atmosphere being dead if we haven't scored after 12 seconds. Or if a pass goes out of play, I just think it'll rub off, and I'm never one to sort of say that. Or the atmosphere
like a rub off.
Yeah. Oh dear! Oh, we got me all hot and bothered. But I think the atmosphere will have a part to play Saturday, and I just think, and I never normally want to say that. I think the players, I've always said that they should put it to one side, and they're big enough and ugly enough to get on with it. But I just think it'll just play a part, and I'm not going to say this word for word, but I do think there is a section that do kind of hope we maybe don't do well. Yeah, I don't want to say it black and white, but and I think the ones that don't like Barton, we see who they are. They post, how poor his stats are on Twitter. You don't need to look at his Wikipedia page because they'll have that, that draft saved already with the percentage updated. They've got Excel working in the background that works better than the government's probably, with how bad he's doing. And I think it just play a part, and I think that's what concerns me going forward. Is even the game Tuesday. I thought first game back with fans. I know it's a League Cup game, but there was no real let's fucking come on, let's shoot a rocket at these players' asses in a positive way, instead of jumping on the players' back. There was none of that. It was very, very flat, and I think if there's one thing that's going to sway it, is the way the fans are going to be. I think. But watch me be jumping on after 5 minutes because that's how I am. But
Barbara, sort it fucking out.
I was a bit like that Tuesday, but after I sort of calmed down, I thought, you know what? Like I've learned to sort of appreciate the finer things. If it's shit, let it go be red. Move on to the next one. That's what I kind of thought about it. I think.
That's it. Well, just before we get into everyone else's predictions in the comments, thanks everyone just smashing the support. Loads of comments, loads of predictions. I'm going to give my prediction. I'm like Jake. Somehow if Finley and Nicholson start, and he plays out 4-2-3-1, mate, I'll be all for a 3-1, a Wildy from Kean Harris, Nicholson, Rodman off the bench. But
Rodman, that'd be a day, wouldn't it?
I'm not that confident. I'm going for us same as you, Jake. Scrappy 1-0. I'd love a last minute. I'd love it. You go everyone booing, and then the last minute, a goal off someone's ass, off their head, off their arm, just goes in, and I'll be buzzing. So yeah, 1-0 for me. Everyone else's prediction, we got Matt with a 2-1 Rovers win. Jerry says 2-0. Kian says 2-1, but we need to get shots on target. Yeah, let's hopefully we ain't got any songs or cheering when Rovers for a shot on target in like the 88th minute, like we did against Cheltenham.
That did make me chuckle. That it was
Gav
harsh,
D,
but true.
yeah, Gav D says, let me just see. I got something in the way of this. Gav D says Scruffy 1-0 as well. Riley Clark is agreeing with Phil Foden up there in the corner. 3-1 Gas. Nichols was going with a 3-1 as well. Quite a few confident Gasses then. Max says Max is going to be with Josh as well in the executive box. He's going hoping for a win. I'll take any win, but I'll go for a 2-1 Gas win up the Gas, hopefully. Jason says, I'm just happy to see them test the keeper, to be honest. Yeah.
It's been 2 games you haven't done that yet.
Yeah, not much. Jerry says, as long as Joey Barton doesn't nut the ref, we're okay. Reese says,
we're short as well. You'd have to do like that.
Yeah, to be fair, Barton's not exactly tall, is he?
No, exactly. Yeah, because he's,
It's about my height.
Yeah. Reese says, we only had 1 shot on target, but we didn't get behind them. If we did, we would have won. And we could have won. I'm not saying we would have won because, to be fair, Cheltenham absolutely took the mick, really. But, big up to FBL Penguin as well. I still need to do my fantasy team yet. I haven't even done it yet. It starts tomorrow. But, yeah, big up Penguin as well. Go and give him a sub. BB_YouTube said, I think it'll be 1-0, but we need fully fit strikers back immediately up the Gas. Not in the nuts. Yeah, just nut them in the nuts instead if you're tall enough. Yeah, we're going to be ending it here. Thanks to everyone just tuned in. I really do appreciate the continued support. Thanks to everyone putting the comments in. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Go follow Josh and Jake on their socials. But yeah, thanks for the continued support. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get the win. But yeah, big up everyone. And we'll see you in the next one. Up the Gas.
You got...
Mate.